Are you looking for a way to make co-parenting easier? Talking Parents can help you streamline your shared parenting responsibilities and minimize conflict by keeping all interactions organized and documented. With Talking Parents, you can stop worrying about the he said, she said, and focus on what matters most, your children. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store and start a 30-day free trial today. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are coming into 2025 with some lighter topics. Today we're talking about The World Awaits, a solo travel guide for women after divorce. As you know, and we always talk about, divorce can certainly be a catalyst for reinvention. And this week, my guest, Heather Markel, a former corporate executive turned travel lifestyle coach and New York Times featured expert, is sharing her personal journey of ditching the 9 to 5 to explore 39 countries. Yes, I said that. You heard that right. 39.
41 actually now.
Oh my goodness. It's gone up 41 countries, and how full-time travel helped her heal and recover herself, rediscover herself. Heather Markel is a certified professional coach, New York Times featured travel lifestyle and business coach. And she's also a TEDx speaker and best-selling author. The other thing I'll say before I introduce her and welcome her in is she has a brand new podcast. So for all of you podcasters, How to Travel Full-Time, check it out. She also has a gift for you that we're going to be talking about at the end of the episode. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. I didn't tell you this offline. So, sneak question.
Uh-oh.
Kicking off all of my episodes with a question for my guests. And so can you share with our audience something that you're really proud of? Now, I usually say it can't be attached to what you do for a living, but because of what you do for a living, I'm going to actually suspend that, although your choice, either way.
Wow. I'm going to say I am proud of myself for my trust, the trust and faith in myself that I have cultivated over all my years of full-time travel. And though this example is not a great one, I will say, so I was in Turkey last August, and I ended up feeling like I was about to pass out. And it's a long story, but making a longer story short, I made it to the hospital where I was treated overnight for dehydration in a country where I don't speak Turkish. But I knew I'd make it, and I'm on my own. And I trusted that I would find people to help me, and I did. I got an English speaking doctor. It all worked out okay. Something that could have been really traumatic wasn't. And when I think that comes from all the travel, but also the flip side of that is I also learned to lean in and make it okay to ask for help. Because I think as a solo person, and I'm also divorced, it's very easy to feel like you have to take care of yourself. You have to do everything yourself and be independent. And you know what? You don't. And actually, I just shared with you before the episode that I'm suffering from vertigo, and I went to physical therapy the other day and I got really sick. I'm in the middle of like all these people getting sick. It was really bad. And you know what? I feel like closer to all the therapists now, because like I hugged the vestibular specialist that helped me. Like no better way to bond than being sick together. So I think it's what I'm proud of is both for leaning into both my resourcefulness and asking for help when I need it.
Yeah, what a beautiful way to kick this off too, because I think the whole I got it, don't worry about it is overrated. And I think when we ask for help, I know when I have the opportunity to help someone, I always feel so good. I feel
Yep.
good for helping them, and I feel good because I could. And so it's actually a win-win when we ask for help. So I love that. And yes, Heather does have vertigo, and we'll see how today goes. We are sitting and we're not moving too much. So I think that will be, but you guys will know as we go along. So the other thing I want to say is I did have another travel coach on recently, and there's a very big difference. The other travel coach really invites people to go on these normal excursions, like 7 days, 10 days, 15 days. What Heather's going to talk about is something very, very different. So, Heather, you have such a great origin story. And the fact that you're divorced, I think, is just going to help our audience, which is, of course, both men and women. And so, can you share what happened in your transition that landed you in this new career and new freedom?
Yes, I'm the person that tried really hard to live normal life. I think my journey really started when I was 16 and I did go kicking and screaming to live with a host family for a month in Normandy, France. And I unexpectedly, I'm an only child from New York City with then divorced parents. And I end up in this farm family in the middle of nowhere with 8 kids, 2 dogs, and a herd of cows. Which, by the way, for those that don't know me, my love of cows started here with this family. My experience with them is I learned to speak French fluently because they refused to speak English with me, and I had to like use gestures or point to things if I couldn't find a word in French. And that there was something really amazing about going to this other place, getting used to not just this whole foreign family, but a whole foreign language, and how deeply enmeshed and close I could get to them because of that language ability. And so I got obsessed with speaking all these languages and saw myself in this big international career, went off to college, studied all these international things, studied more languages, and then ended up by accident in telecom. But when I started, I was working with a French company and I went to France all the time. And then I went to a British company and they made me a joint venture liaison and I would go off to Europe. And so I'm still having fun until in 2002, I end up at AT&T through all the mergers and acquisitions. And I just, all of that international experience and love just out the window. There's no need for any of my international expertise. It just found myself just so far strayed from where I thought I'd be. And then I end up getting married and I'm now confronted with pain like everywhere in my life. I'm like, I'm curtailing this so I know we don't have like all day to talk, but I end up realizing I married the wrong person. I'm in the wrong job. I just like everything is a mirror everywhere in my life. And I felt stuck and awful. And the divorce started everything, that the courage that I knew. And I said to my then husband, I said, it would be easier if we stay together. That would be the easier choice. But I don't think it's the better choice. And it was horrible. But that courage allowed me to look at my work and realize I'm really unhappy here too. And it took me a while because you think about, wait a second, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to have healthcare? What am I thinking of doing? And it's like my dream. And it's amazing now that I'm living my dream that I have found journals where I'm like writing down all these things about what if I just quit my job it's amazing. And so when I finally had the courage to quit my job in 2017 at the end of the year, and I remember it being like really anticlimactic because I set myself goals in 2017 I'm like, if I think I'm going to quit at the end of the year, and I've been saying this for 10 years and not doing it, what am I going to do differently this year? So I basically became open to the opportunity of anything that I could challenge myself with, I better do it. And that started that year with a trip to Iceland. I didn't want to come home. I came home and then I was like, you know what? The Northern Lights forecast is so good for the next night. I'll be really unhappy if I don't go. And I literally like turned around and booked like the next flight out and went back out, had an amazing time seeing the Northern Lights. I had met a Spanish guy the first week I was there, ended up going to see him like 6 months later in Spain, which the relationship didn't work out, but it was the courage to jump on a plane and go and check this out. So that when I got to the hardest step, which was telling my mother that I was going to quit my job and travel full time, I did it. And it went wonderfully well because we went out to dinner, I got her drunk, delivered the news, she took it in stride. And then the next day, when she was not drunk, then began all of the reasons that I shouldn't do this. And it was by then it's like I had prepared myself and I was able to separate myself out from what were her fears and what were mine. And I'm like,
Ah,
oh, right.
your story is so rich. We could like never get to travel and just talk
I
about
know, right?
intuition and your courage and your passion and purpose.
Completely. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, so anyway, so then I just went out, and when I quit my job, it was like totally anticlimactic by that point because I had already done all the hard stuff. And then I went out in January 2018 thinking this was a 6-month career break to go find myself and then miraculously know what job I wanted to do and then go and apply for that job and do that. And oops, I'm now like I just finished year 7. Full-time travel became instead a way of life for me. And what I think that happened for me that I'm realizing is actually really important for all of us to do. I think we're conditioned from very early on that the right way and the correct way to live life, at least in America, is put work is at the center of our life and everything else revolves around the work. And in my TEDx talk, I mentioned what I did is I realized for me, I'm like, I want to travel more. So I've been living with work at the center and travel around work. What if I flip that over and I put travel in the middle and work around the travel? And that was like, whoa, like totally opened up doors for me. And I would suggest for anyone listening here, whether it be travel or something else, try the exercise of putting the thing that's most important to you, at the center of your life. Even draw it on a piece of paper in a circle, put that in the center, and then figure out the work that can support what you want at the center.
Heather, oh my goodness. First of all, it sounds so courageous. Did it feel really courageous as you were going through it?
No, it didn't.
Tell me why.
This is really funny. I met a woman in Scotland who had quit her job in like Edinburgh, I think, where she had big city, to go live on this muck island, it was called. There were like more cows than people. I think there were 40 cows and like 25 people. So she quit her job to go be a school teacher on this tiny island. And so we both talked about this thing, like everyone's telling us how courageous we are. But I think for me, it was like, oh, I just did it. Like yeah, I spent some time mulling it over and then I just did what I needed to do to get it done. And then I was doing it. So I didn't notice the courage, I think, until other people pointed out, do you understand? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, even the courage, really, the courage to say, I'm taking work out of the center of my life and making my passion, my purpose, whatever the center, whatever is your center, and I'm going to weave work around it. As you said that, I could feel an internal resistance. Holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that without the monkey mind and the fear story being like, well, you're going to be on the road in the middle of nowhere in a country where you don't speak the language and you're going to be screwed. Like, how do you not go there? But you didn't.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did.
To get there, I had to go through all the monkey mind
Okay.
until the monkey mind. So what happened to me that January of 2017 when I started making all of those steps for myself, there was a conversation shift between my head and my heart. And the shift, but what happened before was my heart would say, I really want to travel. And my head would say, well, how can you afford it? But I really want to go and meet
Um,
people. How are you gonna? It was all these these horrible what if questions, like who do you think you are? Blah, blah. And then it became my heart saying, I really want to do this. I know, head, you're gonna tell me it's unreasonable. Like how will I afford it and have enough money? And my head said, what if you had more money because you went and did this? So like became this new
oh.
lifting. My head was only throwing out these negative outcomes, but then it started throwing out
It's almost
positive
like
outcomes
your inner critic decided to align with you.
to be my inner cheerleader. Yeah.
Okay. Loving this so much. I have to just, the coach in me has to ask these. My first one is when you took the AT&T job and got married, was there, because it sounds like you have a solid gut and intuitive hits. Was there an intuitive hit that you were making a decision that wasn't aligned with
I
either
think
the job or the marriage or both?
so. What's interesting is I know now my intuition has always been really strong and really clear, but I was so conditioned to ignore it and make it wrong that what was calling to me as intuition, I treated like a silly voice that had no place in my life. So the AT&T job, it wasn't even an option. It was like, yep, go, you got a job offer, you have to take it. There was no thought. The marriage, I promised that I would get married, so I have to get married. And I said yes, I can't say no. And as I went along, the 3 days before my marriage, I actually said out loud in the privacy of my home, I just said, just to hear my own voice, I just said, I don't want to marry you. And the next day, the minister called us to tell us that he was in Mexico. There was a huge storm and he wasn't going to be able to make our wedding and marry us. And this was one of many signs. And I just said, pre-wedding jitters. That's all it is. So yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say to the listeners who aren't listening to their intuition, or their monkey mind is screaming so much louder than that soft, gentle, intuitive voice? What would you say to them? Because you clearly are a good stand for how to listen and enjoy life that way.
Yeah, I will say that one, your intuition and your heart will always bring you where you need to be, but it may not be where you thought you would be. And the monkey mind is, it's fear that's designed to protect you. And intuition and heart, what your intuition calls you to do and what your heart calls you to do is always going to seem really scary. It just is. That's how you know it's your heart and your intuition.
So I want to share something with you because I think you can weave it all together. And then we will get on to travel, folks. Just hang on for a second. I am a firm believer that we either make fear-based decisions or desire-based decisions. And fear-based decisions are so much more comfortable and easy to make.
Yes,
And desire-based decisions feel a little bit like jumping off of
a cliff.
sky, I was going to say skyscraper, a cliff.
Yeah.
And yet the desire-based decisions, which are driven by heart and spirit and soul and intuition, almost always, like you said, move you, maybe not where you thought you were going to go, but where you're supposed to go. Whereas fear-based decisions can really blow up on you, as your AT&T job and your marriage did. Do you want to just tie a bow around that and then we'll move on?
Yeah, so I'm sure all of us have the experience of making fear-based decisions. And when you look back, you can see like how you look back now and you can probably see, oh yeah, like that brought me, it was safe, but it didn't make me happy. Whereas the desire-based decisions usually are the ones that were harder to make and align with, but because they were in alignment with who you became then or whatever, it brought you to a happier space.
Yeah. I am very envious of the life that you live. And as I say that, I am realizing that is a voice that I need to listen to and see what that's about. My mom was a social worker. Mom and dad divorced when I was like 14. She had a home on the beach that she just never put any money into because her desire was to travel the world. And if I tell you, on her little social worker income, my mom saw more of the world, and just we would live vicariously through all of the different places that she had been to. And so for those of you listening, I want to invite you, as you tune into what Heather has to say next, to really consider, what are those dreams? And I'm speaking to myself too. What are those dreams? What are my travel dreams that I can't afford it? I'll do it next year. I can't because I don't have a partner, whatever the reasons are. And so I really invite the listener to drop your defenses, tune in, see what bubbles up to the surface, because I think this is really special. And Heather and I had an opportunity to speak once before on another podcast I was running. And so I've gotten to hear some of her really amazing stories. Heather, what's the difference between someone who wants to go on a 15, 20-day vacation and the people that you work with?
So the people that I work with are not looking for a vacation, they're looking for a lifestyle. And so they're going to be traveling full time in there's so many different ways to have this lifestyle. So yes, it could be like sell everything, put it in storage, pack a bag, go and don't come back for years. That could be one way of traveling full time. It could be someone that full-time travels part-time, meaning they have a home base, they go out for several months of the year, they come back. It could be someone who goes for a year and then comes back and does something. There's a million ways to do this, but my people are not looking for a vacation. They are looking for an experience of seeing the world in a way that a traveler, like a tourist, can't do. As a tourist, you're racing around, you have 10 or 14 days in a place. You can only see so much. You're usually going to prioritize the great photo ops, the like great restaurants that, and that's great. I love that kind of travel. That's super fun. But what we're doing is we're actually trying to experience a culture, because you can imagine when you live somewhere, and clearly living somewhere for a month versus living somewhere for a year are two very different things. But even living there for a month, you get a much deeper sense of day-to-day life. You're going to meet a lot more locals than if you're there for 2 days. You're probably cooking your own food. You get to go to the grocery store and see what's the produce like here. What are the rules like? How weird things cost different amounts. You're learning. I gotta say, one big shocker for me was healthcare. Like when I left America at the beginning, one of the reasons I didn't want to start traveling full time was not only about worry about getting health insurance, it was, oh my God, but all my doctors are in New York and they're the best. I can't possibly imagine letting any other doctor anywhere in the world treat me. And that has flipped very much to shock and amazement that I would rather be treated by doctors outside this country, because the medical field is so much more advanced outside of America than it is inside. And it's very alarming.
Wow. Okay, there's so many different directions I can go in right now. Let's start with an experience. Tell our audience, just share one of your personal experiences, and then I'm going to ask you to share an experience with a client that would resonate with my listeners.
So personally, I think one of the being divorced, solo, leaving my job, I think the courage for me came after. So what I didn't realize until I stepped into the lifestyle is that this experience is very much akin to an adult vision quest, because this is not a lifestyle if for someone running away from something, because I guarantee you will subconsciously recreate whatever the problems were and the people. It all follows you.
Wherever
And
you go, there you are.
yes, yes, it's pretty amazing. This is a lifestyle for someone ready to do deep work and ready to, if you want to have huge growth. Now, look, I used to do lots of therapy. Let me tell you, one year, my first year of full-time travel was more cathartic and educational than like years of therapy.
Tell us why.
I think I'll tell you why. Okay, I know why. Because there was this moment where I was thinking about, I recreated one of those situations, and I'm like, why does this always happen to me? Again, it's this. Oh my God, why? And I looked around and I realized that the only person present was me.
Common
So,
denominator.
right. So the only thing that's like the same in New York, in this city, and that, oh, crud. Okay. So I had to look at so then it became, I was able to ask the question, what do I keep doing
Right.
that recreates the situation? And what do I need to change to make that happen? For me, one of the big things, and I was really surprised because I thought I had worked this out in therapy, was really the self-respect. I needed to plug deeply into respecting myself more. And that was really tough and awful to say out loud. But once I called it out and acknowledged it, then I found all the teachers that I needed. And by the way, one of my favorite teachers, and I've told her, I met this lovely young woman who was like half my age while I was traveling, and I watched her model boundary setting in a way that I was like, oh my God, like, how does she do that? And she was such a great teacher, unexpected. She wasn't teaching me. She didn't know she was. I was just
She
every
was a
time.
model.
Yeah, I was just like, and getting to learn and grow and watch over the years that I've been traveling full time as I have grown even more. And I'm like, oh, now I'm doing it. Like now it's like I can see where this is like happening. And in the moment, I can finally speak up as opposed to walking away and be like, damn it, I should have.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We're going to take a brief pause for a sponsor break. And when we get back, I would love for you to tell a client story, somebody who went out and had an experience that would resonate with our listeners. Your kids may not be the only ones taking tests this year. SoberLink is the #1 alcohol monitoring device on the market for parents who need to prove their sobriety. Here's how it works. Your co-parent will test at scheduled times each day. Built-in facial recognition confirms their identity. Tamper sensors flag any attempts to cheat. And results get sent instantly to your phone. So you know your kids are with a sober parent, whether it's during school nights or weekends away. Set your family up for success this school year. Visit soberlink.com/JBD to learn more and get $50 off your device. Divorce feels like an overwhelming perfect storm as you navigate pain, fear, and confusion while struggling with unfamiliar legal procedures and the pressure to make complex decisions that will impact the rest of your life. Our free Rapid Relief Call provides the clarity and confidence you're yearning for. Visit rapidreliefcall.com for support and guidance today. Are you looking for a way to make co-parenting easier? Talking Parents can help you streamline your shared parenting responsibilities and minimize conflict by keeping all interactions organized and documented. With Talking Parents, you can stop worrying about the he said, she said, and focus on what matters most, your children. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store and start a 30-day free trial today. Okay, so we're back, and I know you've worked with a lot of different people. Is there a story that comes to mind for you?
One of my favorite clients, and I don't want to mention names just because I try to keep it confidential, but so there was this great guy who he had the stable job and money was important. And he told me later that he hired me because he actually didn't believe that this was financially possible, but he was so curious that he wanted to find out if maybe he was wrong. And so what's really cool is that part of my work with him was working on the money piece. And I am not a financial planner, but I do know a lot about how to afford this lifestyle. And I come from the corporate background, understand what it's like to have stable income, then let go of the stable income. And we mapped out a plan. It was a very logical plan where I was able to show him like, well, here's all the ways you can guesstimate what you're going to need for these buckets, what's important to you, what would this look like, and help him put it on paper. And once he put it on paper, he was like, oh, like this actually is possible. This isn't a pipe dream. I could completely do this. So that for me, just watching the shift in clients when they're like, oh, I thought this was a pipe dream, and now I realize it's not. And that right there for me,
That's such a breakthrough. As I'm listening to you, and we all need it. We all need it on so many different fronts. I'm in a program right now where they're talking about limiting beliefs. It's a financial program, so it's financial limiting beliefs, but whether it's love limiting beliefs, work limiting beliefs, what your kids are capable of, it's amazing how that little voice in our head can put us in a shoebox and say, live here. It's safe.
yes,
You'll be better off.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 And it's great because so he's subsequently done For some people, I think it's best to go out in spurts and test the lifestyle, if you will, which is a bit what he's done. And it's been really fun getting emails from whatever country he's in where he's having this experience and loving it. And so it's just really fun to watch someone, I guess in a way, it's just standing back and watching someone else create their dream life and live it. And it's just really beautiful to watch.
So if there's somebody listening right now who's thinking, I was meant to be on this call today. I was meant to listen to this. How do you take someone from the scary idea to feet on the ground in a new place? What does that look like?
It's going to be different for every person because I like to really see each client as they are and meet them where they're at, right? There's a lot of people that are basically like, I've done everything. I've worked this out. I'm leaving in 3 months and I just need to know what I don't know. Can you like quickly jump on a call with me and bring me through all these things, right? Then there's other people that are very much at that emotional precipice. What I really, really do want to do this, but wow, I've got a lot going through my head. There are others still that think they're ready, but then when we jump into the money piece, but I'm like, okay, let's back up because you can't address the money piece until the buts are addressed first.
Mm.
So really, I'm trying to work with the client and see what they need. So what it could look like is meeting with them a few times just to tackle the emotional piece, get them into the financial space, and then go. And it could be longer. It could be, I'm not like my core program is meant to handle the emotional piece first, then look at the finances, and then finally look at the logistics, because a lot of people get caught up in myself included. I had bought into consumerism. So guess what? I was like over shopping, and everywhere I look, I've watched the show Hoarders at times. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I was just a few steps away from that. That was me. And when you're like that, you're like, I couldn't possibly pack up and travel full time. I don't even know how I'd pack all this up. It's really,
Oh, so wait a second. You're saying something interesting there. You're talking about personal belongings right now, aren't you?
yes, I am.
Okay, can you slow that down and say that differently? So I can pack a pretty tiny bag and go off for a while. I'm a pretty low maintenance gal. My 26-year-old daughter, not so much. So just address that piece of it. So if you're going to go and travel for 6 months or a year, what is that piece?
There's a couple pieces in there, right? So there's the packing that you just mentioned. That's one piece, and that's a big piece. But the other piece is, well, it's easier if you are going for a short period of time. That's why I do recommend for some people, they actually try the lifestyle out before fully committing to it.
So would that tryout be like a month?
It depends on your circumstance. If you can only do a month and commit to a month, you do a month. Maybe you do 3 or 6 months. It depends on what you're able to do. And what I mean by that is if you have a full-time job and you only get, right, 4 weeks vacation, are you going to take all 4 weeks at once? You could, but you can't take 2 or 3 months without a sabbatical. Can you get a sabbatical? I don't know. So that's
Gotcha.
why it depends. But if you're the person that's at the point where you're committing to it, you have to downsize, right? If you're going away for a short time and coming back, you can probably just keep your home and keep all the stuff in it and lock the door, or maybe put it on Airbnb, maybe rent it out, whatever you want to do. But if you're the person that's like, oh, I'm all in. Well, now you got a whole apartment or house and you got to get rid of everything. So
Oh,
that
wow.
is hard. That is really, really hard. I can tell you for me, that looked like, remember, I thought I was only going out for 6 months and coming back. So I kept my apartment because I was like, well, I'll be back. And then when I came back from this amazing first venture out and realized I'm not done at all, then I was able to look at my rent that I was paying in New York City and be like, if I got rid of that monthly cost, I could do so much more travel. So then I got rid of,
What do you do? So what do you do in the in between? It's just like you're basically saying, so I make myself homeless and then I come back to the country, and do you just go to your family, or like how does that work?
yeah. So for me, I gave up my home. And so I gave up my apartment. I put stuff in storage, again, thinking I was going to come back this time after a year. And then it ended up being much longer. And I finally was like, if I don't need all the stuff while I'm traveling, I probably don't need it. And I'm very fortunate that my mom has an apartment that I can use.
At least a place
I
where you.
have a place to go. Not everyone does.
Mm,
And so, yeah,
that's a
we
big
might,
piece.
that is, and that could be, well, the thing is, once you become, and there's a big difference between homeless and what we're doing.
I didn't mean to
But some
say
people may
otherwise.
think of it as homeless, so I just want to point that out. You are not
Yeah,
homeless. You are home full because you just have lots of homes.
right.
They're just not all in one place. So if you can Airbnb and whatever in other places, guess what? You can do that anywhere. I'm lucky to have a lot of friends. I have places that I could probably sleep on someone's couch for a week if I needed to. So I feel like there are opportunities out there. And I know then, obviously, if you stay somewhere where things are less expensive, you can stay and live somewhere longer. So yeah, so that's what it looks like in terms of the logistics stuff. The packing piece, I gotta tell you, it took me several years to finally get rid of I packed with a absolutely have to have this stuff. Not sure about this stuff. Probably don't need this. That's how the piles used to look. Then it became anything in the don't need that, probably don't need this. I didn't take it. Then it became anything in the I'm not sure pile. Goodbye. And still, even though no matter how light I pack, it's still too much. It's a learning in process because you will quickly learn in this lifestyle unless you're the independently wealthy person. And if you are, good for you. But if you're not, you're carrying all of your own luggage on all kinds of surfaces, probably upstairs. You are not going to be happy carrying large, heavy bags. So getting used to packing literally as little as possible, which means wearing the same stuff day. Merino shirts, big hint. Merino wool shirts, even in summer, they wick moisture and they don't stink. You can wear those for a few days or a week before you wash them, and it's fine. But yeah, it's not a glamorous lifestyle.
First of all, it sounds so fascinating. And for anyone whose passion for seeing the world is being stoked right now, I think that this is a must investigate. And I hate to begin to wrap this up, but we have to. And so, what I would love is I know you have a wonderful gift for our audience. We'll have you back. We'll just tell more stories. But you have a wonderful gift and you have a program. So, can you tell us about the program? And you guys can get a discount if you're interested in the program by referencing Journey Beyond. So, tell us about the program and then tell us about the free gift.
So the program is called Money for Travel Boot Camp. And what it is, I found that if you go, look, we know that the internet is a wealth of information. Um, you can find the hacks, the travel hacks and tips, except what they don't have is I've learned over 7 years of full-time travel, I've learned some crazy ways to save money that I'm really not seeing anywhere. So I recently updated the program with these like crazy cost ways to save money while you're traveling. But I
Yes.
also include, because when you talk about affording the travel, yes, you need the travel hacks. You need to know how to budget your money, but you need to know how to save money before you go. So I do a whole teaching on in there. I think I have the consumerism teaching and like how to come out of that. How before you even like budget for travel, it's actually cutting costs in your current lifestyle. So getting ready to go, and then all the tips and tricks that are out there for saving money on the road, making money, as you know, and understanding like a little bit about thought processes that go into like how could you earn money while you're on the road. And frankly, even if because these days you don't have to quit your job to have this lifestyle. So even if you're keeping your job, it still gives you a lot of great information on basically the saving the money, the earning the money, and then the watching how you spend money as you live this lifestyle. So it really is it's a comprehensive program on being able to make the lifestyle affordable.
If I enroll in that by the end of the program, am I pretty much ready to travel? Or
You're
is it
ready for the financial piece.
I'm ready for the
So
financial piece?
that's what it depends on you. So if you needed help with the emotional piece, then that program, that's something I do one-on-one because it's
Gotcha.
kind of hard otherwise. And you might still need help with just like, oh, got the finances down. I just need some help with the logisticals. My logistical clients, I find, look, everyone is really, really smart. And it's just a matter of, I may know more than you know. That's all in this space. And you just need a consulting call just to go through all the, like, what do you need to know about visas, vaccinations, my mail, like my legal stuff, health insurance.
Oh, yeah. You're even saying things that wouldn't even occur to me. So, yeah. So the whole world of it. So what I'm hearing is the program is to get people financially prepared. And then you have one-on-one clients who you help get emotionally prepared or logistically prepared.
Correct. And the
Beautiful.
program also offers a discount. If you wanted to do a one-on-one session with me, there's a discount in there to do that as well.
Beautiful. And the name of the program again is
Money for Travel Boot Camp.
Beautiful. And Heather has a solo traveler's safety handbook guide as a free gift for you guys. Oh, if you're interested in the program, the Money for Travel Bootcamp, JBD 2025 is a code that gets, do you remember what the percent?
20% off.
20% off JBD 2025. So make sure to, when you reach out to Heather, to use that. And then the free gift Solo Travelers Safety Handbook Guide is hyperlinked in the show notes. So go to the show notes or go to Heather's website. And Heather, just the website is
heatherbegins.com.
heatherbegins.com. So guys, if this has tickled your interest as much as it has mine, by all means, reach out, inquire, get the gift, certainly, learn more about the program and the travel. Heather, you are an absolute inspiration and delight to have on. Here at Journey Beyond Divorce, we talk about a lot of heavy topics. And so listeners, my goal and intention for 2025 and beyond is to bring a more balanced approach to topics so that we have some lighthearted topics like this one. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your travel, your adventure, your passion, your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. It's just such a delight. I love talking with you. I feel like I just love the questions you ask and I love the conversations we have. So thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful conversation, really inspiring and motivating. And I may be reaching out as well.
Great.
So everyone, we will be back again real soon. You take care. Thanks for joining us on the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. I hope you found guidance and encouragement to help you along your journey. If you like my podcast, please take a minute to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. You can also visit us at jbddivorcesupport.com, where our team of coaches support both men and women through our one-on-one coaching, group programs, online courses, and free resources. Stay tuned for our next episode, and I'll talk to you soon.